She understands his silence and confirms. We need a third place. Maybe this is stupid, but what about the Penn Villas house? We can't go in, but we need to look at it and decide what to do. I mean, somebody's offering to buy it. The bank talked to Daddy the other day. Okay, I gotta make Mom lunch now. How about 2? And I want to give you something. Janice is going on, while Mom is signaling her need to be helped to the commode. Her blue hand tightens white around the gnarled handle of the cane. "Don't let her wriggle," is her advice when he hangs up. "Her way. Around you." Sitting on the edge of the bed, Mom thumps the floor with her cane for emphasis, drawing an arc with the tip as illustration. After putting the lunch dishes in the drainer, Harry prepares for a journey. For clothes, he decides on the suntans he is wearing and has worn for 2 weeks straight, and a fresh white shirt as in his working days, and an old jacket he found in a chest in the attic. His high school athletic jacket. It carries MJ in pistachio green on an ivory shield on the back, and green sleeves emerge from V-striped shoulders. The front zips. Zipped, it binds across his chest and belly, but he begins that way, walking down Jackson Road under the chill maples. When the bus lets him out at Emberley, the warmer air of this lower land lets him unzip, and he walks jauntily, flapping along the curving street where the little ranch houses have pumpkins on their porchlets and Indian corn on their doors. His own house sticks out from way down Vista Crescent, black coal in a row of candies. His station wagon is parked there. The American flag decal is still on the back window. It looks aggressive, fading. Janice gets out of the driver's seat and stands beside the car, looking lumpy and stubborn in a charcoal gray Loden coat he remembers from winters past. He had forgotten how short she is, how the dark hair has thinned back from the tight forehead with that oily shine that puts little bumps along the hairline. She has abandoned the Madonna hairdo, wears her hair parted way over on one side, unflatteringly. But her mouth seems less tight. Her lips have lost the crimp in the corners and seem much readier to laugh, with less to lose than before. His instinct, crazy, is to reach out and pet her, do something, like tickle behind her ear, that you would do to a dog. But they do nothing. They do not kiss, they do not shake hands. "Where'd you resurrect that old jock jacket?" He had forgotten that was what they called themselves, the Mount Judge jocks. Janice says, "I'd forgotten what awful school colors we had. Ick. Like one of those fake ice creams. I found it in an old trunk in my parents' attic. They've kept all that stuff. It still fits." "Fits who?" "A lot of my clothes got burned up." This note of apology, because he sees she is right. It was an ice cream world he made his mark in. Yet she, too, is wearing something too young for her, with a hairdo reverting to adolescence, parted way over like those South American flames of the 40s. Cha-cha-cha. She digs into a side pocket of the Loden coat awkwardly. "I said I had a present for you. Here." What she hands him twinkles and dangles. The car keys. "Don't you need it?" "Not really. I can drive one of Daddy's. I don't know why I ever thought I did need it. I guess at first I thought we might escape to somewhere, go out west, Canada, I don't know. We never even considered it." He asks, "You're going to stay at your parents'?" Janice looks up past the jacket to him, seeking his face. "I can't stand it, really. Mother nags so. You can see she's been primed not to say anything to me, but it keeps coming out. She keeps using the phrase public opinion, as if she's a Gallup poll. And Daddy. For the first time, he seems pathetic to me. Somebody is opening a Dotson agency in one of the shopping centers, and he feels really personally threatened. I thought, Janice says, her dark eyes resting on his face lightly, ready to fly if what she sees there displeases her, I might get an apartment somewhere, maybe in Peggy's building, so Nelson could walk to school in West Brewer again. I'd have Nelson, of course. Her eyes dart away. Rabbit says, so the car is sort of a swap? More of a peace offering. He makes the peace sign, then transfers it to his head as horns. She is too dumb to get it. He tells her, the kid is pretty miserable. Maybe you ought to take him, assuming you're through with what's-his-name. We're through. Why? Her tongue flicks between her lips, a mannerism that once struck him as falsely sensual but seems inoffensive now, like licking a pencil. Oh, Janice says, we'd done all we could do together. He was beginning to get jittery. Your sweet sister didn't help either. Yeah, I guess we were sort of hard on him. The we, him, her, Mim, Mom, ties of blood, of time and guilt, family ties. He does not ask her for more description. He has never understood exactly about women, why they have to menstruate, for instance, or why they feel hot sometimes and not others, and how close the tip of your prick comes to their womb, or whether the womb is a hollow place without a baby in it, or what, and instinct disposes him to consign Stavros to that same large area of feminine mystery. He doesn't want to bring back any love light into her eyes that are nice and quick and hard on him, the prey. Perhaps she had prepared to tell him more, how great her love was and how pure it will remain, for she frowns as if checked by his silence. She asks him, why is Nelson miserable, do you think? He gestures at the burned green shell. My clothes weren't the only thing went up in that. The girl? Were she and Nelson close? She was sort of a sister. He keeps losing sisters. Poor baby boy. Janice turns, and they look together at where they lived. Some agency, the bank or the police or the insurance company, has put up a loose fence of posts and wire around it, but children have freely approached, picking the insides clean, smashing the windows, storm windows and all, in the half that still stands. Some person has taken the trouble to bring a spray can of yellow paint, and has hugely written nigger on the side, also the word kill. The two words don't go together, so it is hard to tell which side the spray can had been on. Maybe there had been two spray cans, demanding equal time. On the broad stretch of aluminum clapboards below the window, where in spring daffodils come up and in summer phlox goes wild, yellow letters spell in half-script, Pig power is clean power. Also there is a peace sign and a swastika, apparently from the same can. And other people, borrowing charred sticks from the rubble, have come along and tried to edit and add to these slogans and symbols, making pig into black and clean into Kong. It all adds up no better than the cluster of commercials TV stations squeeze into the chinks between programs. A clown with a red spray can has scrawled between two windows, "Trick or treat." Janice asks, "Where was she sleeping?" "Upstairs, where we did." "Did you love her?" For this her eyes leave his face and contemplate the trampled lawn. He remembers that this gray coat originally had a hood. He confesses to her, "Not like I should have. She was sort of too nice." Saying this makes him feel guilty. He imagines how hurt Jill would be hearing it. So to right himself, he accuses Janice. "If you'd stayed in there, she'd still be alive." Her eyes lift quickly. "No, you don't. Don't try to pin that rap on me, Harry Angstrom. Whatever happened in there was your trip." Her trip drowns babies. His burns girls. They were made for each other. She offers to bring the truth into neutral. "Peggy says the Negro was doping her. That's what Billy says Nelson told him." She wanted it, he said. The Negro. Strange. He got away. Underground Railroad. Did you help him? Did you see him after the fire? Slightly. Who says I did? Nelson. How did he know? He guessed. I drove him south into the county and let him off in a cornfield. I hope he's not ever going to come back. I don't want him. I wouldn't want him if... Janice lets the thought die, premature. Rabbit feels heightened and frozen by this giant need for tact. He and she seem to be slowly revolving, afraid of jarring one another away. He promised he won't, only in glory. Relieved, Janice gestures toward the half-burned house. It's worth a lot of money, she says. The insurance company wants to settle for $8,000. Some man talked to Daddy and offered $19,500. I guess the lot is worth $7 or $8 by itself. This is becoming such a fashionable area. I thought Brewer was dying. Only in the middle. Let's sell the bastard. Let's. They shake hands. He twirls the car keys in front of her face. Let me drive you back to your parents. Do we have to go there? You could come to my place and visit Mom. She'd love to see you. She can hardly talk now. Let's save that, Janice says. Could we just drive around? Drive around? I'm not sure I still know how to drive. Peggy says you drove her Mustang. Gee, a person doesn't have many secrets in this county. As they drive out Wiser toward the city, she asks, Can your mother manage the afternoon alone? Sure. She's managed a lot of them. I'm beginning to like your mother. She's quite nice to me over the phone. She's mellowing. They cross the bridge and drive up Wiser in Brewer past the wallpaper boutique, the roasted peanut newsstand, the expanded funeral home, the great stores with the facades where the pale shadow of the neon sign for the last owner underlies the hopeful bright sign the new owners have put up, the new trash disposal cans with tops like flying saucers, the blank marquees of the deserted movie palaces. They pass Pine Street and the Phoenix Bar. He announces, I ought to be out scouting print shops for a job. Maybe move to another city. Baltimore might be a good idea. Janice says, You look better since you stopped work. Your color is better. Wouldn't you be happier in an outdoor job? They don't pay. Only morons work outdoors anymore. I would keep working at Daddy's. I think I should. What does that have to do with me? You're going to get an apartment, remember? She doesn't answer again. Wiser is climbing too close to the mountain to mount Judge in their homes. He turns left on Summer. Brick 3 stories with fan lights, optometrists and chiropractors' signs, a limestone church with a round window. He announces, We could buy a farm. She makes the connection. Because Ruth did? That's right. I'd forgotten, he lies. This was her street. Once he ran along this street toward the end and never got there. To take his mind off Ruth, Janice asks, How did you like Peggy? Yeah, how about that? She's gotten to be quite a good lay. But you didn't go back. Couldn't stomach it, frankly. It wasn't her, she was great, but all this fucking, everybody fucking, I don't know, it just makes me too sad. It's what makes everything so hard to run. You don't think it's what makes things run? Human things? There must be something else. She doesn't answer. No? Nothing else? Instead of answering, she says, Ollie is back with her now, but she doesn't seem especially happy. It is easy in a car. The stop signs and corner groceries flicker by. Brick and sandstone merge into a running screen. At the end of Summer Street, he thinks there will be a brook, and then a dirt road and open pastures. But instead, the city street broadens into a highway lined with hamburger diners and drive-in sub-shops and a miniature golf course with plaster dinosaurs, and food stamp stores, and motels, and gas stations that are changing their names, Humble to Getty, Atlantic to Arco. He has been here before. Janice says, "Want to stop? I ate lunch, didn't you?" "Stop at a motel," she says. "You and me?" "You don't have to do anything. It's just we're wasting gas this way." "Cheaper to waste gas than pay a motel, for Christ's sake. Anyway, don't they like you to have luggage?" "They don't care. Anyway, I think I did put a suitcase in the back, just in case." He turns and looks, and there it is, the tatty old brown one, still with the hotel label on from the time they went to the shore, Wildwood Cabins. The same suitcase she must have packed to run to Stavros with. "Say," he says, "you're full of sexy tricks now, aren't you?" "Forget it, Harry. Take me home. I'd forgotten about you." "These guys who run motels, don't they think it's fishy if you check in before supper time? What time is it, 2:30? "Fishy? What's fishy, Harry? God, you're a prude. Everybody knows people screw. It's how we all got here. When are you going to grow up, even a little bit?" Still, to march right in with the sun pounding down. "Tell him I'm your wife. Tell him we're exhausted. It's the truth, actually. I didn't sleep 2 hours last night." "Wouldn't you rather to go to my parents' place? Nelson'll be home in an hour." "Exactly. Who matters more to you, me or Nelson?" "Nelson." "Nelson or your mother?" "My mother." "You are a sick man." "There's a place. Like it?" "Safe Haven Motel," the sign says, with slats strung below it claiming queen-size beds, all-color TVs, shower and bath, telephones, magic fingers. A neon vacancy sign buzzes dull red. The office is a little brick toll booth. There is a drained swimming pool with a green tarpaulin over it. At the long brick facade, bleakly broken by doorways, several cars already park. They seem to be feeding metal cattle at a trough. Janice says, "It looks crummy." "That's what I like about it," Rabbit says. "They might take us." But as he says this, they have driven past. Janice asks, "Seriously, haven't you ever done this before?" He tells her, "I guess I've led a kind of sheltered life." "Well, it's by now," she says of the motel. "I could turn around. Then it'd be on the wrong side of the highway." "Scared?" "Of what?" "Me." Racily, Rabbit swings into a garden supplies parking lot, spewing gravel, brakes just enough to avoid a collision with oncoming traffic, crosses the doubled line, and heads back the way they came. Janice says, "If you want to kill yourself, go ahead, but don't kill me. I'm just getting to like being alive." "It's too late," he tells her. "You'll be a grandmother in a couple of more years." "Not with you at the wheel." But they cross the double line again and pull in safely. The vacancy sign still buzzes. Ignition off, lever at P. The sun shimmers on the halted asphalt. "You can't just sit here," Janice hisses. He gets out of the car. Air, globes of ether, pure nervousness slide down his legs. There is a man in the little toll booth, along with a candy bar machine and a rack of black-tagged keys. He has wet-combed silver hair, a string tie with a horseshoe clasp, and a cold. Placing the registration card in front of Harry, he pats his chafed nostrils with a blue bandana. "Name and address and license plate number," he says. He speaks with a western twang. "My wife and I are really bushed," Rabbit volunteers. His ears are burning, the blush spreads downward, his undershirt feels damp, his heart jars his hand as it tries to write Mr. and Mrs. Harold Angstrom. Address? Of course he must lie. He writes unsteadily, 26 Vista Crescent, Penn Villas, Pennsylvania. The junk mail and bills have been getting to him from that address. Wonderful service, the postal. Put yourself in one of those boxes, sorted from sack to sack. Finally, there you go, plop, through the right slot out of millions. Supernatural that it works. Young punk revolutionaries, let them try to get the mail through rain and sleet and dark of night. The man with the string tie patiently leans on his formica desk, while Rabbit's thoughts race and his hand jerks. "License plate number, that's the one that counts," he peaceably drawls. "Show me a suitcase or pay in advance." "No kidding, she is my wife." "Must be on honeymoon straight from school." "Oh, this." Rabbit looks down at his peppermint and cream Mount Judge athletic jacket and fights the creeping return of his blush. "I haven't worn this for I don't know how many years." "Looks to still fit," the man says, tapping the blank space for the plate number. "I'm in no hurry if you're not," he says. Harry goes to the show window of the little house and studies the license plate and signals for Janice to show the suitcase. He lifts an imaginary suitcase up and down by the handle, and she doesn't understand. Janice sits in their car, mottled and dimmed by window reflections, like some dubious modern product extravagantly wrapped in a metal package rich with waste space. He pantomimes unpacking. He draws a rectangle in the air. He exclaims, "God, she's dumb," and she belatedly understands, reaching back and lifting the bag into view through the layers of glass between them. The man nods. Harry writes his plate number, U20-692, on the card, and is given a numbered key, 17. "Toward the back," the man says. "More quiet, away from the road." "I don't care if it's quiet. We're just going to sleep," Rabbit says. Key in hand, he bursts into friendliness. "Where are you from? Texas? I was stationed there with the Army once, Fort Hood, near El Paso." The man inserts the card into a rack, looking through the lower half of his bifocals, and clucks his tongue. "You ever get up around Santa Fe?" "Nope, never. Sorry I didn't." "That's my idea of a good place," the man tells him. "I'd like to go someday, I really would. Probably never will, though." "Don't say that, young buck like you." "Well, I'm not so young." "You're young," the man absent-mindedly insists, and this is so nice of him, this and giving him the key. People are so nice, generally, that Janice asks him, as he gets back into the car, what he's grinning about. "And what took so long?" "We were talking about Santa Fe. He advised me to go." The door numbered 17 gives on a room surprisingly long, narrow but long. The carpet is purple, and bits of backlit cardboard here and there undercut the sense of substance as in a movie lobby. The bathroom is at the far end. The walls are of cement block painted rose. Imitation oils of the ocean are trying to adorn them. Two queen-sized beds look across the narrow room at a television set. Rabbit takes off his shoes and turns on the set and gets on one bed. A band of light appears, expands, jogs itself out of diagonal twitching stripes into the dating game. A colored girl from Philly is trying to decide which of three men to take her out on a date. One man is black, another is white, the third yellow. The color is such that the Chinese man is orange and the colored girl looks bluish. The reception has a ghost, so when she laughs there are many, many teeth. Janice turns it off. Like him, she is in stocking feet. They are burglars. He protests, "Hey, that was interesting. She couldn't see them behind that screen, so she'd have to tell from their voices what color they were, if she cared." "You have your date," Janice tells him. "We ought to get a color television. The pro football is a lot better." "Who's this we?" "Oh, me and Pop and Nelson and Mom. And Mim." "Why don't you move over on that bed?" "You have your bed. Over there." She stands there, firm-footed on the wall-to-wall carpet without stockings, nice-ankled. Her dull wool skirt is just short enough to show her knees. They have boxy edges. Nice. She asks, "What is this, a put-down?" Who am I to put you down, swinging us broad on Eisenhower Avenue? I'm not so sure I like you anymore. I didn't know I had that much to lose. Come on, shove over. She throws the old charcoal loading coat over the plastic chair beneath the motel regulations and the fire inspector's certificate. Being puzzled darkens her eyes on him. She pulls off her sweater, and as she bends to undo her skirt, the bones of her shoulders ripple in long, quick glints, like a stack of coins being spilled. She hesitates in her slip. Are you going to get under the covers? We could, Rabbit says, yet his body is as when a fever leaves, and the nerves sink down like veins of water into sand. He cannot begin to execute the energetic transitions contemplated, taking off his clothes, walking that long way to the bathroom. He should probably wash in case she wants to go down on him. Then suppose he comes too soon and they are back where they've always been. Much safer to lie here enjoying the sight of her in her slip. He had been lucky to choose a little woman. They keep their shape better than big ones. She looked older than 20 at 20, but doesn't look that much older now. At least angry as she is, black alive in her eyes. You can get in, but don't expect anything. I'm still pretty screwed up. Lately he has lost the ability to masturbate. Nothing brings him up, not even the image of a negress with nipples like dowel ends and a Halloween pumpkin instead of a head. I'll say, Janice says, don't expect anything from me either. I just don't want to have to shout between the beds. With heroic effort, Rabbit pushes himself up and walks the length of the rug to the bathroom. Returning naked, he holds his clothes in front of him and ducks into the bed as if into a burrow being chased. He feels particles of some sort bombarding him. Janice feels skinny, strange, snaky cool, the way she shivers tight against him immediately. The shock on his skin makes him want to sneeze. She apologizes. They don't heat these places very well. Be November pretty soon. Isn't there a thermostat? Yeah, I see it, way over in the corner. You can go turn it up if you want. Thanks. The man should do that. Neither moves. Harry says, Hey, does this remind you of Jeanette's bed? Jeanette was the girl who, when they were all working at Kroll's, had an apartment in Brewer's she let Harry and Janice use. Not much. That had a view. They try to talk, but out of sleepiness and strangeness it only comes in spurts. So, Janice says after a silence wherein nothing happens, who do you think you are? Nobody, he answers. He snuggles down as if to kiss her breasts, but doesn't. Their presence near his lips drugs him. All sorts of winged presences exert themselves in the air above their covers. Silence resumes and stretches, a ballerina in the red beneath her eyelids. He abruptly asserts, the kid really hates me now. Janice says, no, he doesn't. She contradicts herself promptly by adding, he'll get over it. Feminine logic, smother and outlast what won't be wished away. Maybe the only way. He touches her low, and there is moss. It doesn't excite him, but it is reassuring to have that patch there, something to hide in. Her body irritably shifts, him not kissing her breasts or anything. She puts the cold soles of her feet on the tops of his. He sneezes. The bed heaves. She laughs. To rebuke her, he asks innocently, You always came with Stavros? Not always. You miss him now? No. Why not? You're here. But don't I seem sad, sort of? You're making me pay a little. That's all right. He protests, I'm a mess, meaning he is sincere, which perhaps is not a meaningful adjustment over what she has said. He feels they are still adjusting in space, slowly twirling in some gorgeous ink that filters through his lids as red. In a space of silence, he can't gauge how much, he feels them drift along sideways, deeper into being married, so much that he abruptly volunteers, We must have Peggy and Ollie over sometime. Like hell, she says, jarring him but softly, an unexpected joggle in space. You stay away from her now. You had your crack at it. After a while he asks her, she knows everything, he realizes, do you think Vietnam will ever be over? Charlie thought it would, just as soon as the big industrial interests saw that it was unprofitable. God, foreigners are dumb, Rabbit murmurs. Meaning Charlie? All of you. He feels, gropingly, he should elaborate. Skeeter thought it was the doorway into utter confusion. There would be this terrible period of utter confusion, and then there would be a wonderful stretch of perfect calm with him ruling, or somebody exactly like him. Did you believe it? I would have liked to, but I'm too rational. Confusion is just a local view of things working out in general. That makes sense? I'm not sure, Janice says. You think Mom ever had any lovers? Ask her. I don't dare. After another while, Janice announces, if you're not going to make love, I might as well turn my back and get some sleep. I was up almost all night worrying about this reunion. How do you think it's going? Fair. The slither of sheets as she rotates her body is a silver music. Sheets of pale noise extending outward unresisted by space. There was a grip he used to have on her, his right hand cupping her skull through her hair and his left hand on her breasts, gathering them together so the nipples were an inch apart. The grip is still there. Her ass and legs float away. He asks her, how do we get out of here? We put on our clothes and walk out the door. But let's have a nap first. You're talking nonsense already. It'll be so embarrassing. The guy at the desk will think we've been up to no good. He doesn't care. He does. He does care. We could stay all night to make him feel better, but nobody else knows where we are. They'll worry. Stop it, Harry. We'll go in an hour. Just shut up. I feel so guilty. About what? About everything. Relax. Not everything is your fault. I can't accept that. He lets her breasts go, lets them float away, radiant debris. The space they are in, the motel room long and secret as a burrow, becomes all interior space. He slides down an inch on the cool sheet and fits his microcosmic self limp into the curved crevice between the polleny-offered nestling orbs of her ass. He would stiffen, but his hand, having let her breasts go, comes upon the familiar dip of her waist, ribs to hip bone, where no bones are, soft as flight, fat's inward curve, slack, his babies from her belly. He finds this inward curve and slips along it, sleeps. He, she, sleeps. Okay? This concludes the reading of Rabbit Redux by John Updike. Your reader has been Wolfram Kandinsky.